Alright, so Jeff's trading the quad. The Blasta. Um, it's super sporadic and sometimes it runs alright and sometimes it doesn't and then it shuts off and it's very problematic. It's a very simple quad and it could like be a great quad, but he doesn't really have the time or the motivation to like get it going to where it could be.
I'm just not for the brat life.
Yeah, the two-stroke life.
I just want to trail.
Trailing and like backyard stuff and just reliability and not having to rebuild the engine once a year.
I want to be able to start it up in 10 years and it's still just run like shit.
Yeah, that's like mine. Mine probably hasn't been rebuilt since 1986. And it runs great.
This thing probably has, it sounds like 5th engine.
Yeah.
10th top end.
Yeah, it vibrates like crazy, so we think the bottom end's like not balanced straight, and I don't know about the compression in it. He never did a compression test, but it doesn't seem like it has the greatest compression, and the pipe sucks. It keeps cracking, and yeah, it runs good. Alright, so if you didn't know, now you know. My gas gauge needle fell off and is sitting down there from when the gas gauge just flops around and it was just doing circles and it hit the oil pressure gauge and it just popped off one day. And I thought we had enough gas. But we didn't. We got the Mojave and it runs great. We got to do the shift fork in it. So Jeff
Not happy, dude.
Who was it?
He just cranky.
Who's cranky?
The guy.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Did you give him money?
I gave him 10. It was like $4 worth. Dude, what are we gonna do?
What's that?
Help me.
Help.
Camera down.
With what? Just tip it up.
It won't go all the way.
Oh, let me get the flathead real quick. So dude's mad?
And he's just like, oh. I gave him 10. He was pulling out his wallet to give me change. I don't think he did. I don't know. Gave him $10 for a couple licks of gas. It's just gonna go out the breather onto the floor.
He gave you change because there wasn't $10 worth. God, we're losers. Oh, I need to fix this truck, man.
$6 back. So there's $4 worth in it.
Okay. Well,
I felt weird because I'm like talking to his kid. I'm like, yo, I need gas. I was trying to be like respectful, so I wasn't looking like a.
alright, so now we gotta hurry up and get to the gas station. 2 miles down? 2 miles down. Okay. Alright, well, we're on our way to the gas station. Maybe. Look at you know you're somewhere America's fuck. Yeah. Guns and ammo. I could buy a gun and some ammo at this gas station. We go shooting some motherfuckers. What the hell is this shit? There's a baby in a trailer. This kid just staring at me. That kid's way too small for the baby. Look at this trailer full of kids. What is going on? Look, my weirdo Jeff. Alright, so we're gonna unload the Mojave into my lake and pull it in the garage and pull the cover off. Jeremy, we need you. We got this Mojave and the shift fork is bent. And he says we gotta pull this cover off that he already had off. It's got a water pump. Look at this little yeah. It's dual overhead cam too. It says dual cam on the other side. It's sweet. 87. We got to pull the cover off, and then there's a shift fork in there, and he had bent it one way, and he had it working, and then it got stuck in reverse. Like the shifter fork is fucked up. So we're gonna try to see if we can fix it, or have to get a new one. You can probably fix it.
I can probably fix it.
I could probably fix it. Thing's sweet. I don't like the cut fenders.
No, they're like no
But all right, let's unload her. All right, so the problem with the Mojave is it wasn't shifting. You couldn't shift the gears. It had a bent shift fork. So we just got done pulling the side cover off. Maybe I should have done a DIY on how to do this. Maybe I'll DIY on how to put it back together. I don't know, probably not. Anyway, so Jeremy just bent the shift fork back. And we're going to... Yep. We're going to put it back together and see if it shifts, and then I think tomorrow I'm going to get a gasket for it just got to clean up the gasket surface, get all that RTV off of it.
Some fluids.
Yep.
Fluids, gasket.
And then we're gonna put it back together, and hopefully it's fixed. If it shifts right now, then it's fixed, and all you got to do is just put the gasket on it, the cover back on it, and you're good. So then you can be ripping the Mojave, and no more problematic blaster. Alright, so I haven't been recording much lately. I've been pretty busy, and I kind of lost motivation for YouTube stuff. Hopefully it comes back. Hopefully things change here pretty soon. Anyway, we tarped these, and the tarp kind of almost blew away. We were riding around, and there's like a little Jehovah's Witness down the road with a long grassy stretch where we go on like the drag race. Well, we got chased out of there by some Jehovah's, and they were like football sprinting to tackle us off our quads. I really need a GoPro. It would have been some sweet footage, but we didn't tear up their grass or anything. We were just kind of like hanging out, you know, and I've never had an issue there. And actually, the people there are really nice, but this group of Jehovah's were not nice. And they were sprinting after Jeff and I because we wanted to see Mojave versus 250, which we didn't get to race. But yeah, they almost tackled us off the quads. So and then we seen a state boy drive by like minutes after we loaded the quads up, so we tarped them so you couldn't see them from the road. But Bob has asked me to help him with his quad. It's just not running full power. I think it's running lean, and the idle starts to creep. So I'm going to pull the carb off for him. It's not going to be an easy task on this because it's way up there. So I have to pull the plastics off and the gas tank off and stuff like that. So I'm going to try to get that carb off, and I'm going to pull it around to the garage real quick. So this thing's got some good power. I've never really ridden like fast quads, you know. Never really spent the money on a fast quad or had the money for a fast quad. So bear with me on what I consider as fast. Out of everything I've owned a 86 Honda 200X, which at the time was like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 14 years ago actually. And I thought that was fast, but I was also young. I owned that. I owned a Warrior 350. I owned the 300EX. The Quad Sport, Kirby's LT250. And I rode Jeff's Blaster, which didn't run great. And this. And this by far feels the fastest quad that I have ridden. It feels like it. I don't know if it actually is. It's just the way that it makes power and the limiter and everything like that. And it's really slidey, like it's skatey on the dirt, probably because of the rear tires. It feels quick. Like it's got a lot of high-end power, whereas my Quad Sport feels like it's got a lot of low-end grunt, a lot of torque. Probably because this is dual overhead cam. More so like a car motor, you know. Ooh, slippery. Anyway, I was doing some research, and this thing weighs 370 pounds wet, or dry, but with fluids, or something like that. The 300EX weighs 390 pounds with fluids, and the Quad Sport weighs 309 pounds with fluids. Now, this thing makes stock, from what I could gather from information, I've read a lot of information, stock to the wheels is 18 horsepower. And that's stock. The 300EX stock to the wheels makes like 16 horse. And coming in last, stock to the wheels is the Quad Sports at 12. Now, when we got the Mojave, the guy was saying that the motor was rebuilt, freshly rebuilt, probably 50 miles on the motor. It's got no airbox, like I said previous clip. It's just got a uni filter bolted to the back of the carb. I'm sure the carb's jetted because it runs really good. It's got a super trap without any of the little plates on the back. And the dude said for some reason it's got a 10.5 to 1 compression piston, or a 10 to 1 compression piston in it. And stock is 11. So, and the dude didn't build it. His buddy built it. So either he was mistaken and it was more compression, or for some reason they lowered the compression. I don't know. So we got to do some research on it, do a compression test and everything like that. I don't know the specs of the motor, but it runs good, and it feels like it makes good power. And this, I think it needs jets. I think it needs a bigger main jet, maybe a pilot jet, because it idles up when it gets warm, so I think it's leaning out. Because it has a unifilter, open air box, and a super trap as well. But it doesn't have any top end at all. Like, I know a common issue with the 300Xs is people say that you need to do a black box mod because the limiter is set so low, kind of like the Mojave. You never hit limiter in this thing, rarely. So you can't pull the limiter. So I could do some research on that. Now, the Quad Sport, it feels quick. It feels pretty close to as quick as the Mojave, but I don't know what's done to this thing. I know it's got a full DG pipe, like the head pipe and muffler, a unifilter, open air box, jetted carb. I put a 120 main in it and a 22.5 pilot, and it runs really good. When we had the carb off, we were looking down the intake gas, or the intake, like the little carb boot on the head, and the intake port looks really shiny, like someone might have did some cleaning, maybe some port work. I don't know. And then I'd like to do get a boroscope in there to see if it's been bored out, like check the markings on the piston, and do a compression test on it, see if it's more compression. Because at 12 wheel horsepower, it shouldn't be that quick. Also, I think this is the longest I've recorded a clip without having to stop because I made a mistake, or I just don't care anymore. Oh, it's so dirty. New sticker design. That is it. I also got another design, Power Sports. But yeah, I also have some decals, kind of like these, like just like a printed decal that I have a design. I'm waiting for the stickers to come in. But yes, there they are. Everybody, the whole crew is going to be running them. So yeah, I'm going to pull the shift lever off that so I can drill out that bolt, and I'm going to pull the carb off that. And mine needs nothing, so it's going to sit out here so I have room in the garage if it rains. So yeah. Alright, so I got the carb sorted on the 300EX. I raised the needle valve up 1 notch. I changed the pilot jet. There's a couple pieces in the carb that were missing that I changed. And I'm still waiting for the idle. Oh, there's a little boy running around. The little idle screw with the little cable is broke on this, so you can't adjust the idle. Everything's loud around here right now. So, waiting for that to come in, waiting for the gasket kit to come in because it's got a small leak. But other than that, it rips. Hold on. Waiting for Bob. Bob's coming over tomorrow, I think. To change. He got another one-way bearing with a new flywheel because we think the flywheel's worn out. So we're going to change the one-way bearing in the flywheel. Oil filter, oil change, all that stuff. Get it all ready. Jeremy and Jeff, we're messing with the Mojave. And Jeremy came up with a little spring design to keep the shifter out so it upshifts and downshifts great. So now his quad's working great. And he's like a kid in a candy shop. He won't stop riding. And mine's doing great. I got some work to do to it still that I want to do, but other than that, it's fine. So, now that everyone's machines are working, hopefully we'll plan a pretty good trip here soon. Yeah, let's see that jank fix that Jeremy came up with. So the shifter has to be pulled out for it to work. You can't see it.
Tack welded a spring into a washer to spring it back.
Tack welded a thermostat spring onto a washer
To push it out.
And it works great.
It's
Yeah.
working.
Sometimes it feels weird, but it works, so I'll deal with
You're weird.
It'll be good if you decide to get like a new
Alright, so, well, this is the end of the Mojave video. we just went out and we took the Mojave and the quad sport out through the woods and a little track we have back there, and it was a lot of fun, and it's ripping. Jeff's struggling to kick it because the kick starts goofy, and it likes to fling back and hit you in the shin and bust your shin open, but she runs good. We got to do a race between the Kawasaki and the Suzuki. The Suzuki should lose. The Suzuki's got 12 wheel horsepower stock, like I was saying earlier, and the Mojave's 18 wheel horsepower, but the Suzuki's lighter. But when we're ripping through the trails or out in the back or even right here, like, he doesn't really pull on me in the straights, and he's also 100 pounds lighter than me, so I got to do a compression test on that Suzuki and get a boroscope down there and see if the piston's been bored out or not, because they have the markings in the piston. But anyway, there's Chad.
We're clearancing.
They're clearancing. We got to do a video on the S10 soon.
Yeah.
This thing's sick. Anyway, yeah, so the Mojave was definitely a good trade because that blaster sucked.
Yes, it did.
It was good at first, and then it just fell apart. It wasn't ridden over winter, so he got it off David, and David didn't really ride it much. And when David had it, and actually when David first brought it over, it ripped fine. And then after Jeff started ripping it, it just started breaking. So, but yeah, so we're gonna try to plan a trip with all the quads soon now that they're all working good. So yeah, so stay tuned for more videos. I got to do some car videos because all I've been doing is quad videos.
Michigan motorsports stuff.
Yeah, Michigan Power Sports. Mid-Michigan
Power
Power
Sports.
Sports. I created a group because there's no group for quad stuff in this area at least, or even in Michigan. So I'm going to try to grow that group and get a group of quad, dirt bike, go-kart, mini bike, whatever people.
They're all wild and all.
Anyway, so yeah, so stay tuned. Hit that like button, share the videos, subscribe, hit the bell icon, check the link for the descriptions for all the links to like Snapchat, the sticker store, and what else? Facebook. I started the Facebook page, so that'll be up in the description, and my Snapchat for kind of like the behind the scenes stuff and like the me teasing Jeff stuff, because I got Snapchats of me teasing Jeff. Sorry, Jeff. But yeah. So also I'm gonna be posting the new sticker designs on the store, so check them out. See ya.